Good evening, welcome to the 7 o'clock English news from the Sultan of Oman Television. First, the headlines. His Excellency, the Foreign Minister, reviews with the Minister of Foreign and European Affairs of Malta aspects of bilateral cooperation and international response to efforts against COVID-19. The Royal Navy of Oman marks the opening of the new building of the Oman National Geographic Center. And the Ministry of Health reports 31 deaths, and the national COVID-19 immunization campaign continues in the various governorates of the Sultan. Those are the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq received a cable of thanks from His Excellency President Dr. Barham Ahmed Saleh of Iraq in reply to a cable of condolences on the victims of the Ibn Khatib hospital incident. His Excellency Said Badr bin Hamid Al Busaidi, Foreign Minister, reviewed aspects of joint cooperation in the economic, scientific and cultural areas with His Excellency Everest Bartolo, Minister of Foreign and European Affairs of Malta. They also exchanged viewpoints on a number of regional international issues, including the international response to the efforts against COVID-19, the international cooperation in the provision of vaccines, and its importance in accelerating the recovery from the pandemic and its health, social, and economic effects. The Royal Navy of Oman celebrated the opening of the new building of the Oman National Hydrographic Office. The office was established in April 1995 to provide national hydrographic services, preserve hydrographic information, and office compile hydrographic data, issue marine and electronic charts and navigational publications of all Omani marine areas and water bodies, preserving and maintaining the National Hydrographic Archive and the various hydrographic requirements, in addition to monitoring the navigational safety of Omani water goers and providing hydrographic advice to national authorities and bodies. The ceremony was chaired by Lieutenant General Abdullah bin Khamis Al Raisi, Chief of Staff of Sultan's Armed Forces. The Minister of Health announced 31 deaths and 2,529 new cases of COVID-19 in the Sultanate. It also registered 1,330 recovered cases. The total number of COVID-19 cases in the Sultanate reached 250,572. The total recovered cases reached 220,171 cases, and the total number of deaths reached 2,741. The minister indicated that the number of inpatients during the past 24 hours is 188, bringing the total numbers to 1,448, of which 428 are in intensive care units. The hospitals in the Sultanate increased their accommodation capacity for the rising numbers of COVID-19 patients. The medical cadres expressed their concern over the alarming situation of the pandemic. Meanwhile, in Al Khawd Hospital, there are 37 COVID-19 patients in intensive care unit. The health cadres in the hospital are exerting great efforts to treat the patients while continuously calling on the members of the community to adhere to the precautionary measures and its targeted categories to take the vaccine as soon as possible. It's worth mentioning that the active COVID-19 cases in the Sultanate exceeded 27,000, as the fatalities rate is also increasing. Due to the increase in coronavirus cases at Nizwa Hospital, there has been an urgent need for oxygen concentrators. The apparatus have been provided through an initiative launched by Ihsan Association in Al Dakhiliya Governorate to provide such devices for patients. More details in the following report.
The total number of positive corona cases is soaring at an accelerating pace. Hospitals are operating at the double of their capacities to handle such huge pressure.
It is really critical now at this stage that we know all health institutes have overcrowded with the COVID-19 patients. And especially with intensive care, we are reaching above 180% of our capacity. And this is a really crucial issue and need to be managed with the surge that we are already facing at the moment. The same thing with the COVID ward, and there are a lot of cases admitted. And it is all over Oman. And it is really now, it's a critical situation, need to be managed well.
Ihsan Association at Dakhaliya Governorate Branch, in collaboration with Nizwa Hospital, came up with an initiative to provide oxygen concentrator devices for COVID-19 patients who can continue treatment at home.
There is no doubt to share the community with the crisis is a very crucial issue. And the support with the Ihsan organization and Nizwa Hospital with this elderly blessing is well known its impact. And especially we have started to supply oxygen concentration as home advice to reduce the crowd on the bed management inside the hospital of COVID-19. With that, we need to follow those cases with their conditions and how they are managing at home with the training. And it starts their own impact to reduce some of the pressure we are facing in COVID-19 admissions.
The initiative endeavored to reduce the pressure on hospitals and support medical teams' efforts. The patients and their family members are given proper training on how to utilize the oxygen concentrator device while at home. Indeed, let us all extend our helping hands to the medical teams in their noble cause to alleviate infections of coronavirus. From Nizwa Hospital, Salih Bakhalfan al-Rahbi, Al-Dakhiliya Governorate.
The Ministry of Health continues the national immunization campaign against the coronavirus in the various governorates of the Sultanates. The vaccination centers witnessed a good turnout from citizens and residents, which reflects the great societal awareness of the importance of taking the vaccine to protect themselves, their families and their community from the disease. The current stage of vaccination include the age group 45 years and over. Meanwhile, the hospitals have increased their capacity due to the increasing number of COVID-19 patients amid concern among medical staff about the worsening of the current epidemiological situation. Still to come on News Bulletin. As a part of the efforts to combat the coronavirus, the private sector institutions are providing vaccination for the employees. More details in the following reports.
The world has been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic for over a year now. People across the globe have been taking precautionary measures to combat the virus. The fast response, apart from taking basic precautionary measures, the scientific community around the world worked day and night where they were able to create vaccines as an essential step to help the return back to ordinary life. Companies in Oman are collaborating with the Ministry of Health to secure doses for their employees.
Mind to Vaccinate is a campaign that OQ has started for our employees and OQ community, joining hand with the MOH in the national campaign of vaccination. Very, very important that we all have to follow all the measures despite being vaccinated.
So far, we have vaccinated 1,000 plus employees at OQ, and we aim to vaccinate all of our employees and ensure business continuity of our operations across all assets.
This is an important campaign to help protect the workforce and the community around them.
This is a fantastic initiative taken by the company to ensure that its employees are getting vaccinated. I've already got my vaccine today, and this is a fantastic initiative to ensure the health and safety of the employees. At OQ, more than 800 employees have already got vaccinated in 1 week alone, and we are very thankful for that.
The government has been working tirelessly to secure doses for the general public to eliminate the spread of the viruses and gain a high percentage of immunity within the country's population.
More to come. To boost aquatic life, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries and Water Resources starts to install artificial reefs in the Wilaya of Daba. Welcome back to the news from the Sultan Oman Television. The Oman Vision 2040 implementation follow-up unit signed a cooperation agreement with the business here with the aim of preparing the detailed report on Oman Vision 2040 and the stages of starting its implementation, which will focus on attracting private investments, financial sustainability, and empowerment programs such as the economic stimulus. It will also focus on promoting for the Sultanate as a global investment destination by highlighting the steps it is taking towards a more sustainable future. The agreement was signed by His Excellency Talal bin Sulaiman Al-Rahbi, Deputy Head of Oman Vision 2040 Implementation Follow-up Unit. The total number of housing loans supported by the government has amounted to 673, with the cost exceeding 29 million riyals during the first half of the current year. Oman Housing Bank continues its efforts to speed up the pace of approvals for housing loans as to reduce the waiting period for all applicants to obtain financing and banking facilities for citizens. More details in the following report.
Oman Housing Bank continued to accelerate the approvals of subsidized housing loans during the last period despite the effects of the pandemic and the many challenges it imposed. The bank is working to enhance efforts during the coming period to accelerate further. The total number of loans supported by the government and approved in the first 5 months of this year reached 673, with a total value of more than 29 million Omani riyals distributed among the 9 branches of the bank in the governorates of the Sultanate. The bank also received nearly 2,200 applications for a new loan with a total value of more than 104 million riyals. The bank is constantly working on finding appropriate solutions to reduce the waiting period for loan applicants to obtain financing and to provide banking facilities to citizens according to an appropriate time frame that helps achieve the dream of owning a suitable home. Before the end of June, the bank will officially announce the launch of its new website, which will facilitate the electronic submission of the loan application and will contribute to reducing the number of visits of loan applicants to the bank and its branches. The maximum amount of housing loans offered by the bank is 60,000 riyals, while the loan repayment period is up to 25 years and at a competitive banking and administrative fee rate that's considered the best in the local market.
Oman Oil August delivery price reached $71.91 per barrel today, recording an increase by 95 cents. The average price of Oman crude oil June delivery reached $63.10 per barrel, which is lower by $1.53 compared to May delivery price. In order to boost aquatic life in the Wilaya of Daba in the Governorate of Musandam, the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources started to install artificial coral reefs, and we have a report on that.
The Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources, represented by the Director General of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources in the Governorate of Musandam, started to install artificial reefs in the Wilaya of Daba to boost aquatic life. The project is financed by the Agriculture and Fisheries Development Fund. The project aims to sustain and preserve the natural fisheries wealth, boost marine reserves, and improve the economic condition of fishermen. For artificial reefs were placed at the depth of 30 to 50 meters. Coral reefs are some of the most diverse ecosystems in the world. They provide a safe environment for a multitude of marine species and are suitable habitats to most benthic species. The implementation of the project in the Wilaya of Daba is aimed to meet the increase in the number of fishermen and the limited area of natural coral reefs, as well as the increased fishing activities in these areas, which caused maritime pollution and destruction of coral reefs.
On other news, Palestinian officials said Israel today eased some restrictions on the Gaza Strip that have threatened a fragile ceasefire. Hamas, however, said the move was an attempt by Israel to pressure the group into making concessions. The officials say 11 truckloads of cloths were exported through Kerem Shalom crossing for the first time in 40 days. Yesterday, Israel said it will allow limited agricultural export from Gaza. The easing also included a resumption of mail service and in and out of Gaza. Since the 11-day war in May between Israel and Gaza's Hamas leaders, thousands of Gazan passports and other essential paperwork has backed up. Other restrictions by Israel remain in place and are taking a toll on different sectors in Gaza. Today, a Pepsi bottling plant, it was closing and laying off 250 workers because raw materials needed to stay in business are not coming. Instead, the company will import ready-made products from its factory in the West Bank. Yesterday, Israel's new Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, warned Hamas that Israel would not tolerate even minor attacks from Gaza. Indonesian health authorities announced the country's largest one-day jump in new coronavirus infections today, as the number of confirmed cases since the pandemic began surpassed 2 million. The health ministry said it had confirmed another 14,536 new infections and 294 deaths. Along with more than 2 million infections, Indonesia has reported more than 54,950 deaths, the most in South Asia. Indonesia, the world's fourth most populous country, has seen infections surge in recent weeks, a climb that has been blamed on travel during the last month's Eid al-Fitr holidays, as well as the arrival of new virus variants such as the Delta version first found in India. Authorities have so far only fully vaccinated 12.3 million of Indonesians' 270 million people and partially vaccinated another 10.9 million others. The government has received 104.7 million vaccine doses so far, including 94.5 million from Sinovac, 8.2 million from AstraZeneca, and 2 million from Sinopharm. It expects to receive about 50 million Pfizer doses in the coming months, followed by 50 million Moderna doses. Stefan Löfven, Sweden's Social Democratic Prime Minister since 2014, lost a confidence vote in Parliament today amid a housing crisis and skyrocketing real estate prices, making him the first Swedish government leader ever to lose such a motion. The vote was initiated by the small Left Party, an ally of the minority government that is not in the two-party centre-left coalition, but had provided the votes to pass legislation. The Left Party said it had lost confidence in Löfven over a proposal for the abolition of rent controls on new build properties. Sweden has strict regulations on rents aimed at maintaining affordable prices in larger cities. However, this disincentivizes property developers from building new homes for the rental market. People needing to rent a home can find themselves waiting for years for a contract, and buying property is increasingly hard amid soaring home prices. However, the last party fears that deregulating the rental market will lead to rapid price increases and deeper segregation between rich and poor. The Prime Minister has 1 week to decide whether to call an early elections. You're watching the Sultan of Oman television. Before tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Excellency the Foreign Minister reviews with the Minister of Foreign and European Affairs of Malta aspects of bilateral cooperation and international response to efforts against COVID-19. The Royal Navy of Oman marks the opening of the new building of the Oman National Hydrographic Center. And the Ministry of Health reports 31 deaths, and the national COVID-19 immunization campaign continues the various governorates of the Sultanate. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin from over here in the newsroom and the studios. Stay safe and good night.